Some of the tech industry's biggest leaders, they're gathering in London today for London Tech Week. Among them, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang giving the keynote address in just the last hour. And guess who had a front row seat? Our Arjun Kapal. He's there, has much more. Arjun, good morning.
Good morning, Frank. And I tell you what, behind me earlier on, there was a huge line of people trying to get in to watch Jensen Huang. There were extra screens put on so people could watch that keynote. And he was sat alongside the UK Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, who was talking up the UK's investment case around AI. But here are a few highlights from what Jensen Huang had to say. First, he said that AI is going through an extraordinary moment right now. He said AI should be seen as infrastructure akin to electricity or even the internet. And he called AI the great equalizer, saying people can now program software without knowing code through things like chatbots as well. He had a lot to say about the UK since he was here in London Tech Week, and he praised the UK, calling it one of the richest AI communities anywhere on the planet. He said he talked up the universities, the education, and some of these companies, but one thing that surprised him was the fact that the UK doesn't have his own infrastructure. Let's just listen in to what he had to say.
UK is in a Goldilocks circumstance. In fact, UK is singular. In any other region, it's singular in this condition I'm about to describe. UK has one of the richest AI communities anywhere on the planet. The deepest thinkers, the best universities, Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial College, amazing startups, DeepMind, I mentioned Wave and Synthesia, and 11 Labs, and incredible thinkers in computer science.
And of course, NVIDIA wants a piece of this UK pie. There were some announcements overnight about companies here building out new data centers using lots of new NVIDIA GPUs as well. Now, for NVIDIA, the key here really is the company trying to open up new markets, given where some of the current markets like China are becoming a lot more tough. For the UK, it was about the Prime Minister making a pitch for the UK as an AI hub here in Europe and saying that it's a stable place to invest amid some of the geopolitical turmoil we're seeing around the globe. And this is just stop one for Jensen Huang this week on his tour of Europe. He then goes to Paris later on this week, and we'll be there as well on Wednesday when he gives the keynote at NVIDIA GTC. And clearly Jensen Huang right now is hot property. Every country, every government, every world leader wants to get their hands on the NVIDIA CEO. Just not really seen anything like this before from a tech CEO, and I think it shows how central NVIDIA has become to this AI revolution that many, Frank, say is just beginning.
Yeah, Arjun, as you mentioned, he's going to be in Paris for Viva Tech. Then the CNBC reports Germany, France, Belgium. Set a pretty high bar for himself, saying that the UK is in a Goldilocks position. I wonder what he's going to say to Germany, to Belgium, and everybody else. Arjun Kapal, we're going to be talking to you a lot this week. Thank you very much.
Anyway, all right, let's start off with our stock movers here and go across the pond in the Atlantic. NVIDIA shares right now just up about 0.5%. At London's Tech Week, CEO Jensen Huang said that the UK is in a quote-unquote Goldilocks circumstance and that he plans to invest in that region. The tech giant is also teaming up with Britain's financial services watchdog, the FCA, or Financial Conduct Authority. It announced today that it will let banks safely experiment with AI through a so-called supercharged sandbox concept. So NVIDIA shares a bit of news on multiple fronts, up 0.5%.
We're still looking for a gradual decline in jobs for the coming months.
Right. I do think that the longer picture comes from Jensen Huang, who's over there talking about UK being a great place for AI. But the longer picture is that we have it completely wrong in the media, that the issue is we should be talking about birth rate, talking about how few people are coming to the workforce, and how vital it is to have AI, to have robots. I think he has more of a vision. I think that Jensen has thought these things through, David, far more than anyone else. And we don't have enough people.
Yeah, Goldilocks, it was good.
He's over there. Wouldn't it be great if
we
they
have
called him in?
fewer and fewer people all the time.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Very true. Carmen DeCibio, who is just so great. Carmen gave this, he used to run EY. He gave this speech when he was awarded some really great honor for immigration, because he came over here in a Pan Am plane. I was like three years old from Italy. And he talked about, look, we're like kidding ourselves. We don't have the birth rate to be able to have a great future. We don't have enough people.
Well, we may not need them.
because of AI.
Because
you're
of
coming
AI.
around to my view.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of concern, obviously, around AI. I talk about it oftentimes. I ask our guests questions about it who conceivably are at least positioned to have an opinion people want to hear in terms of what the impact is going to be in the workplace.
Well, I mean,
beyond robots, which you're talking about more in the manufacturing
okay, let's talk
capacity,
agent force. Okay, let's talk something that's very real, Salesforce. You bring in agent force, you don't need as many people that are doing traditional sales.
No.
You try to move them over. Now, Mark would tell you, despite how the stock acted after the quarter, Mark Benioff, that they are hiring thousands of salespeople because of the demand for agent force. But this stock, you can't give it away.
This is the week of European sovereign AI deals, starting today with Jensen Huang speaking on a panel alongside the UK's Prime Minister about the country's need for AI infrastructure. Jensen announced that NVIDIA is going to invest in the UK, including a new AI lab in the country. Nscale announced that they will deploy 10,000 NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs in the UK by the end of 2026. And Nebius announced its first AI factory in the UK, which will include 4,000 NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs. There's a lot more happening this week for NVIDIA with a NASDAQ investor conference scheduled for Tuesday. Also on Tuesday, we have Rosenblatt's 5th annual Age of Scaling AI Summit. Then we have GTC Paris with a keynote from Jensen Huang on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central European Summer Time. That's 5 a.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. Pacific. Jensen told us on NVIDIA's earnings call that he will be speaking about quantum GPU computing during that keynote, which is very exciting. Speaking of quantum, IonQ announced a partnership today that includes NVIDIA. This partnership involves the integration of IonQ's quantum processing units with NVIDIA's CUDA-Q platform. NVIDIA is going to play an important role in the future of quantum computing, and I'm excited to hear what Jensen has to say this Wednesday in Paris. After Jensen's keynote on Wednesday, there is a Financial Analyst Q&A at 7:45 a.m. Eastern, 4:45 a.m. Pacific. This event will likely have an important impact on NVIDIA's price action this Wednesday. And remember, NVIDIA will not be in a quiet period during this Q&A, and so they will be able to go into detail about many important topics during that Q&A session on Wednesday morning. I've said this many times over recent months, and it's still true. I seriously think that this company has a lot of runway ahead of it, and I am bullish on the long-term future of NVIDIA. NVIDIA maintains their competitive moat across both hardware and software. The introduction of NVLink Fusion actually strengthens NVIDIA's moat because now clients are even more likely to remain within NVIDIA's ecosystem. Blackwell has ramped extremely fast, representing 70% of NVIDIA's data center revenue in Q1. And remember that after Blackwell has ramped, we should see margins return to the mid 70% range later this year. Blackwell Ultra is set to launch around the end of this quarter and should ramp very quickly. Blackwell Ultra is simply an upgrade of the chips within the Blackwell system, and so we are less likely to see delays in the rollout like what we saw with the rollout of Blackwell. It is rumored that sample chips of NVIDIA's next-gen Vera Rubin may be available in September of this year, with mass production scheduled for early 2026. Rubin is NVIDIA's next generation after Blackwell. I expect more sovereign AI deals to be announced as the year goes on. NVIDIA is delivering performance upgrades that are so substantial that their customers have no choice but to continue buying NVIDIA's latest products in large quantities. And on top of all of this, there is the potential for the H20 restriction in China to be reversed. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that the president may be open to some export controls being reversed as part of negotiations with China. If it is announced at some point in the coming months that NVIDIA can restart sales to China, I would expect NVIDIA stock to trade meaningfully higher very quickly on such an announcement. NVIDIA would have guided for an extra $8 billion in Q2 revenue if there was no restriction of H20 sales to China. Pay attention to what happens with the US-China trade negotiations because a reversal of the H20 export control would have a meaningful impact on NVIDIA's share price. And so all things considered, I am bullish on the long-term future of NVIDIA, and I seriously think that this company still has a lot of runway ahead of it. I think this company is going to be worth substantially more in the future than it is today. At least that's my view of the situation. Remember to stay calm in this market. Remember to maintain a long-term perspective and do not make any hasty or irrational decisions. With all of that being said, I hope you all have a great rest of the day, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts about NVIDIA in the comments below. Please leave a like on this video so more people will see it. And while you're down there, please consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.